All right. A lot of people ask about Molly. And it's... Here she is. No, be nice. It's way too much to type sometimes. So I'm going to put this on my page. So when Molly was born, we didn't know anything was wrong. A little bit about my background, which helps. When she was born, she had a very small head. She had a very small jaw, micronithia. And she was very tight. And her cry was horrible. And we kept asking them about her head. And they told us she was fine. And I just went with it. She was my second baby. Okay, fine. A little bit of backstory. While I was pregnant, I had a lot of Braxton Hicks contractions, and they just told me it was due to lack of water and chasing a 2-year-old. So I just drank my water and did what I did. Her movements, unknown to me, were very stiff and painful. So a baby moves. My oldest moved all the time. The same way she is on the outside is the same way she is on the inside. The downfall was when she would move and stick her leg out or an arm out, she never retracted it back. And I kind of had to push her back in because it was very uncomfortable. She moved, but she didn't move quickly. So I never brought it up to my midwives that she wasn't moving because she moved. And I know every baby's different. My other one moved all the time. I swear I didn't look round. I look like a freaking alien in me. She moved and it would stay that way. I figured a quiet baby. So when we came home, she literally bleated like a goat. Nah! It was awful. So my background, which I forgot to say, I went to school for communication disorders to become a speech therapist. And I also was a special ed teacher for those with social, emotional, behavioral problems. So I've seen quite a bit between physical challenges, mental, cognitive, autism, bipolar, schizophrenic, stuff like that. And I also grew up around a few kids of my mom's friends, their children who had disabilities. I had a friend who had a child with cerebral palsy. I did not know a lot about cerebral palsy at the time. I thought it was a birth injury. So Molly was quiet. Molly didn't move much. It was like changing a plastic baby doll. You know how their legs just move up and down? They don't really move out unless they're a soft baby doll. She moved like she had joints, like a doll. We couldn't understand why. We used to tease each other, my husband and I, who wants to change her because it's the only time she cried. She would bleat, and the crying was awful. She slept. It's almost like once she slept, that was it. The only other time she cried was if she was hungry. That was the only time. She didn't babble. She didn't coo. She smiled when you were close up in her face. Her hands were always fisted. Always. My oldest rolled over at 5 weeks old, just by chance. And she was moving and grooving. I had a friend whose daughter was 6 or 12 weeks younger than Molly. And this baby was moving and kicking and arms and all that stuff. And Molly just laid there. I knew something was wrong. So I started pushing for information. I was like, this isn't right. My mom would ask, where's the baby? Because she didn't babble. She didn't coo. She didn't laugh. Nothing. She also had an eye that drifted. And that was our first thing that got us into the doctors. I went to probably 4 eye doctors with her at 4 months old, and no one believed me because nobody saw it. Even Children's Hospital Boston turned me away and said, come back in a year, she's fine. I knew something was up because she would just stare at lights and the sky when it was clear. She would just stare. And I knew baby's eyes were delayed, but this was different. And even my sister is like, something's up with her eyes. Something's up with her hands. I was like, no. She's still, see the hand? She still fists a lot, and I have to tell her to open up her hands. So I started looking into the eyes. Finally, at Tufts Medical Center, floating hospital for children, there was an eye doctor there, and she took the time to tire out Molly at 5 months old. Tire her out to see what I saw, and I had many pictures. She had an eye that drifted out, her right eye, constantly just up and out. So finally, after many testing and watching, we did a lot of patching and glasses immediately. Her vision was in like the 300s, -3 point whatever. So at 2 years old, she had strabismus surgery after the patching, because the patching caused the eye to turn inward, which is what they wanted to do, because strabismus, exostrabismus, I think it is. I don't remember. It's been so long since she had it. Can't do surgery. So they did the patching. The patching worked. I was lucky that patching and glasses at her age, she didn't know to rip the Band-Aid off her eye. She didn't know to take the glasses off. She didn't bring her hands to her face. Note, I also was never told never by any doctor. Once I found doctors that listened to me. And we were able to do the surgery for her eyes at 2 years old. And that was after patching and glasses. We had I started early intervention at 9 months old. We finally started early intervention. So Molly I don't know if it was 5 or 9 months old right now. When we started early intervention, she had, 5 months old. At 5, 6 months old, I think, or 9. At 9 months old, she had the ability of a 3 to 5 month old baby. She didn't do anything. And because she couldn't turn her head, and her vision, we didn't know, was her peripheral vision is cut in half, like 30% on one side, 40 on the other. I don't know which is which. She couldn't see anybody come from behind her, so she'd get very scared, but she'd never follow the toys. She didn't reach for toys. She didn't feed herself. She couldn't sit up. I already showed him your hands, silly. Hi. She couldn't sit up. Sitting up was the other thing after the eyes. We would sit her up and she'd scream and cry like she was in pain. Very, very stiff, rigid baby. She could stand on her legs. She didn't bounce in a bouncer. I have videos of when she first started bouncing after her first chiropractic treatment. You can see it later. I did chiropractic. I did acupuncture. She had aquatherapy. She had PT. She had OT. We didn't do speech because she didn't make any sounds. And the little bit of speech that she did need to address what was going on, I was already doing it. I already knew what to do, and it was just talking to her, showing her, doing things. She loved print on words, so she would sit in a swing with lots of stuff to prop her up. You need to get off my arm, please. This is not okay. She would just scratch at the black and white print. So we knew something was there. She had early intervention, OT and PT, and hippotherapy once she turned 2. And she had OT and PT twice a week. So she was getting PT 3 times a week, OT twice a week, 3 times a week, because she had it with early intervention at the house as well. So everything was almost 2 to 3 times a week. Aquatherapy. And then right around 2, she started making sounds. So started screaming. Like we heard her laugh, and she never laughed again for a while. We heard her say her sister's name. And that's how my oldest got her nickname, Kaya, out of Michaela. We heard her say Michaela once. There's videos of her trying to say her alphabet at 3 years old. Drastic difference. She does have dysarthria, the cerebral palsy style speech challenges. We had bracing at 18 months old. I think 16 months old, she got her first AFOs. Molly had no idea that her hands or her legs even worked independently of each other. She could stand because she was stiff. So right between 2.5 and 3 years old, things started happening. Sounds, letters, screaming, crying, babbling, kind of having a little bit of an opinion of what she wanted. I'm kind of telling you a short version, even though it's kind of long. Every year I got a new diagnosis, so we never knew about tub A1A. We only knew that she had complete agenesis of the corpus callosum. And when I had gone to that conference, I met other people who acted like they had Asperger's. High functioning, slow to learn, social skills were impaired. Now my oldest is like that. That's when I said there's more. This kid has to have something more. So we didn't know if it was a metabolic disorder. We didn't know if she had Angelman syndrome. We didn't know if she had Aicardi syndrome. We didn't know if she had crash syndrome. So they were looking at all of that because she fit it. Her right side's underdeveloped, except her right eye is not. Her left side is more impaired. Same thing with her hearing. Her hearing's fine, but certain low tones she does not hear on her left side, as well as her right. It's all within normal limits. Her left eye is more affected than her right. She has optic nerve hypoplasia, SOD, ONH, cortical vision impairment. She sees darn well. At 3 years old, at a doctor's appointment, they were going to send me for an emergency MRI to look for intracranial pressure because her vision went from like the 3s to like negative 1.25. So she's like, what's going on here? Nope, it was just her. And her vision is still negative 1.25 for the last, she's 11 now. We've done lots of hip bracing to make sure that her hip sockets develop. Her right side's 20% uncovered. They're not the best, but they're good. So she wore a hip brace till she was probably 3 or 4 years old. She wore hand splints because her thumbs are adducted. Her right hand's smaller than her left. Her right thumb's shorter than her left. Her thumbs were adducted in. Her right thumb can go down, but not out. And her left thumb can go out, but not down. So she fell and dislocated her thumb. That changed, and so she has wiggle on her hands. She's missing a tendon that holds your thumb out. So we did lots of custom hand splinting. We did lots of hip bracing till a certain point. She still kind of wears night casts, bivalves to stretch the heel cords. She has had her hamstrings cut. She has had her heel cords done. Hamstrings were at 4. Hamstrings were at 4 after rounds of Botox we did for a few years. Heel cords were actually done just this October will be 2 years ago. We're supposed to be wearing bivalves at night, but we're having some issues. So she also can move. So I got away with a lot because she didn't know to take these things off or have an opinion or move or even, she just wore them. She's pretty tolerant anyway. Let's see. She did not walk until 5 years old. She took her first steps at 5 years old. She did not walk independently throughout our house until 9. And then it got better from there. She can now walk through our house. She can walk in school or a building with a walker, but she still needs close supervision because she is a fall risk. So if you were to bump her in her walker, that's how she dislocated her thumb. She fell out of her walker. Her walker, she used to have a crocodile, a smaller one, and she had a saddle, and one of the saddle straps fell off the handle and she fell forward and she actually put her hands out. So that's how she dislocated her left thumb, doing herself a favor. She does use a walker. She does use a wheelchair for long distances or stroller. She does use a shower chair. She does have a sleep safe bed because now that she can get up, she can get out of bed, but then that's the scary part. If she were to get up and walk around the house, if it's dark, even just a rug. We don't have very many rugs in our house on the first floor. I wish I could have a rug in the kitchen sink, but I don't. We have a rug in our living room, and she has an area rug in her room just because it cuts down on the sand. But when she's freely playing, I roll her rug up so she can play. Other than that, my whole first floor has no rugs. We do have 2 slight inclines because our house is old, and those are the places that she does fall. She cannot get herself back up. Like, say you and I tripped and we could get back up. She cannot. She does not sit up in bed. She does not have the abs to sit herself up. It looks like a mean crunch. So she does have an articulated head and foot of her bed. She does have the sides in case she were to roll out. I don't know if she ever would roll out. But we have it anyway because now that she knows she doesn't need to be up and roaming. She goes to bed in her room alone because if she wakes up in the middle of the night, she thinks it's time to get up. I'm lucky that if I lay with her for a certain amount of time, she will go back to bed. Sometimes, no. But she goes to bed, I have to leave the room because she does not stop talking. What else? She has learned her center of balance, gotten better every year. So I can put her in a pool. And if she's tired, she'll fall like a log and she cannot upright herself. So it's still a really big safety risk in the pool. It used to be in the pool, someone had to hold her up because she cannot figure out her center in water being buoyant. And over the last 5 years, it's gotten better. So being in the pool is a lot of work for her. She's actually learned how to dunk herself with goggles. She still has that infant reflex where if the water goes over her face, she will inhale. Same thing with wind, but she's aware of it, that it happens. She can dress babies now, depending on the skin, if it's sticky, soft, or not. She can try and dress babies. She's learning to do snaps. She's learning how to brush her teeth. They never said never, but we had a kid that literally just sat in a chair. So she does have Tub A1A. She also has the ANK3 gene mutation, which is very unknown. I'm sure in a few years they'll retest her. We're part of many research projects at Children's Hospital Boston. Her sister is too, because my oldest has Asperger's, or ASD level 3, which I don't think she'll be level 3 anymore. She also has dyslexia and severe anxiety and sensory processing. Molly has sensory, but we never could identify it because she never said anything or complained. But now she definitely, can get overloaded. Certain things she doesn't like to touch. She's still learning how to eat. So like things that are soft, she thinks you swallow. So we're working on that now that cognitively she's a little bit more aware. I would say at 11 years old, she's about 5, 6 years old in her head. There's a lot of 11-year-old things she does do and say and think. But then there's a lot of things that it's more toddler or more 5 years old. So it's kind of like all those toddler little kid years that she didn't get to play. She's making up for now because now she's into Barbies. She likes watching other kids do things and copying them. She can have a conversation. We're working on 3 to 4 word utterances, questions. She can't repeat, "Mom, may I have a glass of milk?" "Mom, a cup of milk." "Mom, milk, please." So it's hard for her to find words. Short-term memory's terrible, but that girl remembers things from the past. She cannot maneuver outside well. Like we just had our driveway redone, so she could be out there and her vans could pull in and pull out. She can't get up and down a ramp. She can propel her wheelchair very short distances. So like in Target, I'd rather have her in a wheelchair because then I don't have to worry about somebody bumping her because she looks like anybody else. I don't know. I hope that helps. I doing a video because to text it's just way too much. I'm so sick of writing about it. I had all of her diagnoses on my Facebook page, and then Facebook changed the layout, and I don't know how to edit and add the Tub A1A, and the Tub A1A diagnosis was in, I think, 2014 or 15. I'm not sure. I know we were one of 30 at Boston that they were able to identify. It's the closest thing that explains her and her brain malformations because she's also missing a few other pieces like her cingulate gyrus and septum pelluteum. She also has colpocephaly, which is the ventricles. She's 2 instead of 4. She doesn't have hydrocephaly. It's just an extra amount of fluid because her brain is just empty. Her brainstem is underdeveloped. There's an extra fold on the front lobe somewhere, but not really left or right. She does have optic nerve hypoplasia, but not severely. She does have cortical vision impairment. We're seen at Perkins in Boston, and they monitor her. So it's more her processing of what she sees and does, but she accommodates herself so well. She wears AFOs. She dislocates her knee now due to her leg turnout. So that's a new concern. There's no more pulling to stand for her. So she's stuck on the floor if she falls. Or if she's sitting on the floor. Like, she can slide off the couch and sit on the floor. But sitting on the floor and playing with her legs out in front of her is very difficult. She needs to sit in a firm chair and have her legs below her to sit. We are potty trained during the day, for the most part. If she gets scared, she'll pee her pants. Pooping is a challenge after 4 years of enemas and stimulants and Botox or sphincter and things. Learning how to poop again has come back. So when she learns a new skill that takes up most of her energy, another skill is put in the back seat. And so that's what happened when she started walking, because you use your core. So because she exhausted those muscles and she learned how to hold it in, she couldn't just go when she felt it like she would in her diaper. And she was always relaxed in the car or in her bed. And so for the longest time, we'd get in the car, she'd have to pee even though we just went to the bathroom. Or poop, or in bed is when she would go. So she still wears a diaper at night, because depending on how tired she is, she'll, it's almost bedtime. Depending on how tired she is, when she's sleeping, she'll just soak through a diaper. And that's how we know she's super tired, she's growing, or she's getting sick, is she doesn't have that control. Daddy. So I hope this answers some of your questions. So we were never told never. We were just told wait and see. So we're truly blessed, because I couldn't carry her if I wanted to anymore due to the back injury that I now have from carrying her to 85 pounds up and down our stairs and in and out of our van. Right before my back went, and I think it's because all the muscles went because I stopped carrying her, we had modified our house, which was the best thing we could ever do for her. And we modified our bathroom, and I never thought we'd need it once she started walking. Yeah, we still need it. Just like her wheelchair or the van. She can get out of a vehicle, getting in a vehicle, I can't help her. I can't pick her up and give her an oomph into the car. So she walks up our ramp and into the front seat or the back seat. But for the most part, when we're running errands and we're doing a lot of in and out, she's in her wheelchair because she can't do the in and outs. And if we're doing a lot of in and outs, someone has to hold her or be cautious of her and her walker. And if I'm running errands and needing to go to the pharmacy and going to grocery shopping and picking this up and that, or I'm at the register, I'm not paying attention to her. So for the most part, she's in a wheelchair. A walker doesn't make sense because she can't walk that far. She can probably do an hour straight in Target, and that's it. Usually she's back in her wheelchair by the time we get to the registers because she just can't stand that long anymore. I don't post much because I hate typing it because it's so much. So now this is up on the YouTube page and her Facebook page. I'm hoping that I can just here's my story. It's about 25 minutes of her story. So, and then there's other videos on the YouTube link on her Facebook page that we can share. She also has an Instagram, but I suck at all this social media stuff because I don't want to put the effort into the editing. So I hope that helps. So those of you who have babies, Tabe has a spectrum disorder. I've seen kids from severe to not, and you're not going to know until you hit 7 or 8, just like cerebral palsy. You don't really know their true ability and what they're going to overcome until they hit that age. And right around 7, 8 years old is what she hits. She's at her prime for walking. And yes, she may get a little bit better. You know what? I'll take it. We're approaching 12 years old. I don't know her cognitive ability yet. I don't know what she's going to be capable of thinking or doing, but she surprises us. Something new always happens on how she thinks or processes or just doing things. Like right now she has mastered, we have a Roku TV. She's mastered the remote. She's mastered checking her profile on YouTube and getting to her shows. She does by picture. And I can say she's on the verge.
Put your legs in.
You hear her? She's on the verge of sight words. So,
There's a mermaid tail.
okay, say hi.
Hi.
So, I hope that gives some of you hope. But remember, it's a spectrum, because when I first was on this group, a lot of people didn't believe me that she does have type A1A, and I have the genetic testing from Boston, Walsh Labs. She's part of the Walsh Lab research projects, her and her sister. Her neurogeneticist is in London and still follows her. He had to leave for certain family issues, care for his mother, I think. No, she's a wow to them. So we're at all the Boston hospitals. Just I hope that's enough. I hope I didn't leave anything out. It's been so long since I've talked about it. Because I hit burnout, and you don't know what you hit burnout. So, hope that helps. Bye.